Today I'm going to be making the first of many Christmas ornaments that I'll be doing from now until December, whatever. And this one's going to be done with polymer clay because I haven't done any polymer clay crafting videos in a little while. So I've got a few colors. They're all the same brand. This is not Sculpey brand. No, I like using Sculpey, but this stuff is way cheaper, so I have the Craft Smart brand. I've got brown, nice holiday kind of red, like a nice berry red or whatever. There's a couple reds, but I like this one better for Christmassy crafts because it's just a little bit more, I don't know, a little pinkish, a little nicer, a little darker, less orange, I guess. And then I have some white, and I have this really cool new color. I don't know what you call it, but I like it. It's a little blue, it's a little green, kind of Christmassy if you put it together with the other colors. And so I'm going to do something with it. Probably not a whole lot, but maybe I'll just use a little touch of this. So this one is going to be a gingerbread man. Looks like a cookie, but it's going to be clay. So I'll use the cutter because I have a ton of cookie cutters that I never get to use. And this will be a really fun way to use the gingerbread man cookie cutter. So I've also got my clay tools. I've got anything that I might need. I'm thinking he's going to be smooth, but just in case I decide to put any texture on him and make him look like a real cookie, I've got the brushes and the different things, different little pokers and cutting tools that I might decide to use. I don't know. I just want to have everything nearby. I've got a couple toothpicks because I might need to mark something with a toothpick so I know where I'm placing it. I have a little rolling pin. I wouldn't want to use the rolling pins that I use on fondant or anything edible on a clay project. So the little tubes, these I only use on clay. So, make sure you keep that stuff separate. Clay is kind of greasy and it doesn't really wash very well. And so, it's just going to be hard to mix the two. You'd want to keep these two types of tools separate from each other. So I'll be using this to sort of flatten it out before I go and stamp my little shape on there. And then I also, I know I'm going to need a little hole at the top so you can turn him into an ornament, so to hang him up. So we'll be doing something with this, which is just a cake tool, a little tip that you'd use for a pastry bag. So we'll use something like that later on. And then of course on my workstation here I just have a piece of wax paper because this little mat that I have down will get really kind of stained and cruddy and gross if I put the clay on it, and it's hard to wash that off as well because of just the texture of this, and this is not a very smooth surface. It's got some little bumps and a little bit of some raised dots on there, so I don't want to have anything messing that surface up. I just want to keep that flat, although I do have a bunch of paint and other things on there. But anyway, I don't want to get it more messed up than it already is, so I have a piece of wax paper over it to keep my area clean. Have clean hands to work with, although in between colors I may feel like going to wash in between, because if I'm going from a darker color to, say, the white, I don't want to mix that because then you're going to see all the color coming off on your hands and marking up the white. So we'll start with the brown though because we do need a base. So we're going to start to kind of work this in our hands, mush it up a little bit, get it nice and soft. It's already pretty soft, but just get all those little cracks and grooves out of there, and then we'll start to roll it out. It's reminding me a little bit of a Tootsie Roll right now. It's kind of weird, a little just kind of stretchy and sticky and shiny in some ways. What is a Tootsie Roll? What are they made of anyways? All right, so when you're crafting, I know it's comfy to sit down, you want to relax, but if you're going to be rolling out clay, sometimes it helps to stand up, so you get a little more strength behind it. So if you're having trouble with this part from a sitting position, just stand up and get a little strength behind your roll. That way you can get it nice and flat. I'm hoping that I don't need to use this whole block of clay to make the thickness that I want. Of course, you don't want him to be paper thin because he's not going to hold up very well, but you kind of want him to have a little bit of something to hang on to. So I'm just going to keep rolling this and then check it out and see if I'm making it to the size I need. I'm going to hold my little cutter over it and see, actually, yeah, that does have the whole guy covered right there. Yep, I think I could probably chop it right there. Although if I want to, I could also, I'm gonna cut my, I cut my clay right here because that part I'm not gonna need because that's for his head, right? I could put that, kind of tuck it underneath and roll again, and this will just widen that part out. So it's just a little trick I do. I do that with fondant too. Gotta make an area a little wider if you need to without seeing the seam, because the back is the back. It doesn't have to look pretty on the back, right? But the front has to be nice. That's the part that's presentable. So you could even decide to paint the back if you wanted to, Who cares what's going on back there? You could write your name on the back. That's for you to do whatever you need to do. Hide all those blemishes and the things you don't want to be seen. All right, I think that's thick enough. I don't think I have to worry too much about him breaking. And of course, we can always come over later with some varnish or something to seal everything on if we're worried that anything's going to come off. So it's nice and smooth now. I'm going to put our little cookie cutter guy right over that. I'm going to press down. Make sure you press on all parts. So, you know, work its way around. You got to work around the feet. Get the hands, the head, okay, all sides. And then kind of wiggle it a little bit just to make sure you've touched the bottom. Okay. Carefully lift it up so you don't rip anything. All right, looks like we got him pretty good. Pull away the extra first. Okay. And this is all good clay. You can use this for another one. You got all this extra. So wad that up into a ball and put this somewhere for safekeeping. I always keep my extra clay in a tackle box. So I've got a little tackle box organizer, and I just have a different section for each color. And if it's a similar color, like 2 different browns, I'll just put those together. You know, if I run out of space, that's fine. If they touch and then a little bit comes off on the other one, it's not a big deal. I'll set that aside for now. I don't want anything happening to that. So then you'll carefully just kind of lift them up. Can't really help but get fingerprints on this stuff, but I do want to loosen him a little bit. Okay, look how cute. He's already looking really good. I love this. That's awesome. Yeah, I love the way that looks with the cookie cutter. I think I messed up his head a little bit. Okay, well anyway, let's set him to the side because we need to wash our hands and get started now on the white because I want to make the little wigglies, the icing that goes around him on his little, I guess he's got one on each ankle, and then he's got it on his wrists too. So we'll be using the white for that. We're just going to roll little skinny pieces and wiggle that up and stick it on there. Okay, and I'm not going to use a whole lot of the other colors. I'm going to use mostly brown. That's why I just need a touch of the other colors. And something like this would be a good way to use up some colors that you have, you know, some different colors of clay that you've kept for a while, little scrappy pieces. It's a good way to use that. And all your little cookie cutters. If you have some of those tiny cookie cutters, maybe, you know, the ones that do maybe circles and hearts and things like that, that'd be a good way to use these because you can give them his little buttons and all that. I don't use X-Acto knives a whole lot, but with clay, I sometimes will just to get a little piece chopped off. Okay, now this is the part that's a little tricky, is trying to get the wiggle. So you want to be able to stick it down to your gingerbread man without smushing the wiggle too much, because then you'll lose the shape of it. So you have to be really, really gentle. I pulled off a piece that's, you know, probably longer than I need it to be, so that I can just wiggle it and then press it down and then wiggle it again and press it down, and I'll just do this back and forth sort of wiggly motion with it, and you have to kind of help it out along the way. That's what's fun about clay stuff, is you get to have all that little detail work and take your time with it. So that's what's also frustrating about working with clay. If you're, you know, doing this with little kids, they like instant gratification. And when they see that this is going to take a little time, or it's going to take a little patience, or it's going to take a little bit of fine motor skills, sometimes they lose interest. But here, I'll just keep some scissors close so I can do this. Just cut the end. And again, I just want to kind of gently tap this on. I know later if I use some glaze on this, some triple thick glaze, seal everything on, I won't have to worry about it. But that's pretty nice. That's really cute. I like that. Okay, I'm going to use this other piece here. Hopefully that's long enough to do maybe one of the arms. And I'll just keep going around and doing this on all of his limbs. Now sometimes having nails can really be a pain when you're doing crafts. Nails usually get in the way for me. And I was doing, especially when you're working with clay, I was doing some pottery on the wheel once. And my thumbnails were just a little long, a lot longer than they are right now. And I didn't realize that because of the movements involved with doing pottery on the wheel, you really have to get your thumbs in place if you're going to shape the bowl or the vase or whatever you're making. And so my thumbnails are really kind of getting in the way, not just kind of being annoying as I was trying to shape the bowl that I was making, but let me snip this off. But they were actually, the nails were making an imprint in the bowl where I didn't want it to be. So, you know, you want it to be smooth, and then of course it wasn't quite as smooth in those areas where my nails were getting in the way. So I think that piece is kind of done. I might need to set that aside and maybe re-roll it. But just some tips. If you're having some trouble with long nails, you may need to trim those up before you go and do some really fine detail crafty work like this. All right, I think I'll roll this up, kind of wad up all this white clay to a little ball. And then I'm going to roll it out a little flat. I'm going to try this little cake tool and see if I can't make a little perfect circle for his eyes. That way I know they're the same size. It doesn't have one eye bigger than the other or anything like that. Okay, so I'll just use the small end. This is a number, I don't know, 8. A number 8. Okay, I'm just going to have that right in there. Oh, it's already starting to pop out, so I think that works. Okay. All right, that works. They do sell something called Sculpey glue, I think. I think it's called Sculpey glue, or so it's just a glue you'd use with polymer clay, of course. So that way, if your clay wasn't exactly sticking, or maybe it was not, like this is kind of fresh, so it's still got that tacky feel to it. But maybe if it wasn't, you might need something like that. If you're using fresh clay, you don't have to worry about it. Okay, there we go. Cute little eye. It was a little thicker than I wanted it to be, but that's all right. I'm just going to gently tap it because I want it to have that thickness. I still want it to kind of, you know, have a little dimension, so you can see that they're just popping up a little raised. And I really like the way those wiggly white lines are looking on his arms and legs. Okay, so then I will take a little bit of this. I gotta make him a mouth, so I'll do white mouth, and I'll save the color for the buttons and the little bow tie I'll give him. Okay, so roll a little bit out for the mouth. This is a small one. We'll stick that on there. All right, I guess that's long enough. Right, just a little one. Figure out how we want it to lay underneath the eyes. That's cute. Oh, that's really cute. I love that. Okay, do I want him to have a nose? No, he doesn't need a nose, you know? He's really cute just like that. Okay, I'll save all these little scraps, you know, put it back with the rest of it. Sometimes if you didn't use a lot of your clay, or if you opened it up nicely, you can kind of seal it back on there so that way it doesn't get dirty or touch anything. Okay, so we're going from white to another color. That's okay. We can use the same hands. We don't have to go wash in between. But I'm going to give them, I think, red buttons. I'll probably cut them again with that little cake tool because I like the way that looked. Yeah, I think I'm going to give them red buttons and then a green bow tie. So let's do that. Oh, this really stains your fingers. Look at that. It's gross. Okay. Let's roll this out. You could just use to clean up all your clay stuff because it's kind of greasy. You probably just want to use a baby wipe or something, a little hand wipe, just to kind of scrub it and clean it as you go, rather than put it in the sink with soap and stuff. Okay, so let's give him 3 little buttons. Make room for his bow tie. If this happens, so right now it's kind of stuck in there, just kind of help it out with your toothpick. Okay, there's 1 little button, and it looks good right now, but he would look even better all shiny once we put the glaze on there. But of course that has to happen once it's already baked. There we go, just help it out. Okay, stick the next button on there. That's really cute. I love it. Stepped away for a second so I could wash my hands and get all the red off there, and I found this. This is from a year ago. How sad is that? About a year ago we bought this and never actually made the cookies, but that's exactly the design I'm doing. So that's so super cool that, you know, I found something with the same little, I did not copy this design at all because I couldn't find this a minute ago. I had to kind of just come up with something in my mind. But yes, that's what we're doing. We're gonna make him a bow tie right now, so I definitely want to do it now that I've seen it on the box of cookies, and happy that these don't expire until March, so we're good. We can still make the cookies. All right, so let's roll out some of this, and I think for the bow tie I'm just gonna have to get creative and cut it out with the X-Acto blade, so we'll do that. That won't be hard. It's a simple shape, a couple triangles. Okay, so let's map that out. Yeah, we'll maybe make it a square first, you know, so it has flat sides. Okay, always pull that away so I can see what I'm doing. It's just going to be small. Okay, that's our side, so we know our sides are going to be flat. We need a rectangle shape. Okay, and now that's real easy to tell what to do, right? You're just going to go like that. Okay, and like that. Yeah, let's do that. Now let's make a little circular shape to go in between. Okay, right here under his chin. Perfect. And since we use the X-Acto, it kind of came out nice and straight, so I like that. Okay, we save enough space for us to do our little dot. It goes right in the middle. Poke it out with a toothpick. Okay, so I do need to bake it so that I can put some glaze on it, but I want to put a hole in his head first, so let's lay him like that. I'm going to use the same tool right here to put a little hole in his head. I don't go too close to the edge because I know that I'm going to be hanging from that, and I don't want to put a lot of pressure on a very small little space. So I didn't save this little piece too. That's still a good piece. Okay, now he's got a big hole in his head right between his eyes, and I'm going to go put him on the cookie sheet that I use only for clay and put him in the oven. Keep a close eye on him. I'm going to turn it up to probably about 300 and only leave it in there for a couple minutes, but don't walk away from it. Watch him, put him in the toaster oven because it has concentrated heat, and no need to heat up the whole house with the oven just for a tiny little gingerbread man. And also, if you're making several of these, then do them all at once. You don't have to worry about doing one at a time or anything. So I'll be right back. Alright, so there's our little gingerbread man, and I just got him out of the oven, so he's kind of stuck to the pan, but when he's cool enough, I'm going to pry him up. I think it'll work now. Yeah, they still come out, feeling a little rubbery when they're warm, but it's not going to burn you. He's holding a lot of heat right now, but he's not going to burn anybody. Alright, and he's not thick enough where we have to worry too much about, he's just so cute, I love him. We don't have to worry too much about, anything breaking off right now. She's pretty sturdy. He's able to kind of hold him out. He's not gonna flop over or anything. Okay, so he's got the hole in the top, good enough, big enough for some string, so maybe some twine, something cute like that for him. And we just need to put some glaze now, so he's nice and shiny. I'm not gonna do the back. That's how we're gonna leave him on the back, just like a cookie that popped off the pan. And so I use this triple thick glaze with that whenever I'm using clay. So it will dry perfectly clear. So it's just thicker than a regular varnish. Normally varnish is a little watery. You'll see that. It's just very thin consistency. But this stuff is pretty thick, just like it says in the name. So let's just, it looks like glue. And you could use glue, you could use some just regular clear glue. That would work too. But I like this stuff because it doesn't drip off. It kind of stays right where you put it. And I'm going to go heavier around all the pieces that we stuck on there because I want to make sure those don't go anywhere. And if this stuff can work like a sealer and keep it all in place, then even better. So it'll shine it up and kind of permanently stick everything there. So you can go a little heavy, kind of really glob it on wherever you kind of stuck those little buttons and pieces of fake icing on there. That's it. We're just going to let this guy dry. And then, of course, any area where you see it looking a little bluish or where you can kind of see the triple thick glaze is a little cloudy, all that, of course, is going to dry clear. It dries perfectly clear, so you won't see that. It's just going to really seal it on there. It's going to be nice and like a shiny plastic when it's done. And we can put a cute little piece of twine in there with, a few inches to hang from the tree. This kind of gifts are really cute to just add on to a little, like make a little tag for a present, and it can just hang off, but it's functional. It's an ornament, something people can use year after year, so I like that. They're also totally customizable. You can add on whatever colors you want. You can get real creative with them. They'll still look like a Christmassy gingerbread man even if you use other colors on there. So it's really cute. A lot of fun things you can do with them, and you can just make several different ones. And look how much clay I still have left over. I probably only used half the block, so that's pretty good too. So, you can get a couple gingerbread men. I have one little block of clay, which I think ends up being like $1.50 for a block of clay like this. And of course, we barely use any of the red, green, and white, so just a little touch of that. So these are a lot of fun, so try them out. Make some for your tree.